Hello, my dear brothers and sisters in Christ. This is Shiny with Jesus Bytes. I want to welcome you back on a journey of exploring the Bible together. Today, we will complete the book of Numbers, covering chapters 31 through 36. War with Midian, chapter 31. The Lord spoke to Moses, "Execute vengeance for the Israelites against the Midianites. After that, you will be gathered to your people." So Moses spoke to the people, "Equip some of your men for war. They will go against Midian to inflict the Lord's vengeance on them. Send 1,000 men to war from each Israelite tribe." So 1,000 were recruited from each Israelite tribe out of the thousands in Israel. 12,000 equipped for war. Moses sent 1,000 from each tribe to war. They went with Phinehas, son of Eleazar, the priest, in whose care were the holy objects and signal trumpets. They waged war against Midian, as the Lord had commanded Moses, and killed every male, along with the others slain by them. They killed the Midianite kings, Evi, Rechem, Zor, Hur, and Reba, the 5 kings of Midian. They also killed Balaam, son of Beor, with a sword. The Israelites took the Midianite women and their children captive, and they plundered all their cattle, flocks, and property. Then they burned all the cities where the Midianites lived, as well as their encampments, and took away all the spoils of war and the captives, both human and animal. They brought the prisoners, animals, and spoils of war to Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the Israelite community at the camp on the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. Moses, Eleazar the priest, and all the leaders of the community went to meet them outside the camp. But Moses became furious with the officers, the commanders of thousands and commanders of hundreds, who were returning from the military campaign. "Have you let every female live?" he asked them. Yet they are the ones who, at Balaam's advice, incited the Israelites to unfaithfulness against the Lord in the Peor incident, so that the plague came against the Lord's community. So now, kill all the male children and kill every woman who has had sexual relationships with a man. But keep alive for yourselves all the young females who have not had sexual relations. You are to remain outside the camp for 7 days. All of you and your prisoners who have killed a person or touched the dead are to purify yourselves on the 3rd day and the 7th day. Also purify everything: garments, leather goods, things made of goat hair, and every article of wood. Then Eleazar the priest said to the soldiers who had gone to battle, "This is the legal statute the Lord commanded Moses. Only the gold, silver, bronze, iron, tin, and lead, everything that can withstand fire, put through fire, and it will be clean. It must still be purified with a purification water. Anything that cannot withstand fire, put through the water. On the seventh day, wash your clothes, and you will be clean. After that you may enter the camp. The Lord told Moses, "You, Eleazar, the priest, and the family leaders of the community are to take account of what was captured, human and animal. Then divide the captives between the troops who went out to war and the entire community. Set aside a tribute for the Lord from what belongs to the fighting men who went out to war. 1 out of every 500 humans, cattle, donkeys, sheep, and goats. Take the tribute from their half and give it to Eleazar the priest as a contribution to the Lord. From the Israelites' half, take 1 out of every 50 from the people, cattle, donkeys, sheep, and goats, all the livestock, and give them to Levites who perform the duties of the Lord's tabernacle." So Moses and Eleazar the priest did as the Lord commanded Moses. The captives remaining from the plunder the army had taken totaled 675,000 sheep and goats, 72,000 cattle, 61,000 donkeys, and 32,000 people, all the females who had not had sexual relations with a man. The half portion for those who went out to the war numbered 337,500 sheep and goats, and the tribute to the Lord was 675 from the sheep and goats. From the 36,000 cattle, the tribute to the Lord was 72. From the 30,500 donkeys, the tribute to the Lord was 61. And from the 16,000 people, the tribute to the Lord was 32 people. Moses gave the tribute to Eleazar the priest as a contribution for the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. From the Israelites' half, which Moses separated from the men who fought, the community's half was 337,500 sheep and goats, 36,000 cattle, 30,500 donkeys, and 16,000 people. Moses took 1 out of every 50 selected from the people and the livestock from the Israelites' half. He gave them to the Levites who performed the duties of the Lord's tabernacle, as the Lord had commanded him. The officers who were over the thousands of the army, the commanders of thousands and of hundreds, approached Moses and told him, "Your servants have taken a census of the fighting men under our command, and not one of us is missing. So we have presented to the Lord an offering of gold articles each man found, armlets, bracelets, rings, earrings, and necklaces, to make atonement for ourselves before the Lord." Moses and Eleazar the priest received from them all the articles made out of gold, all the gold of the contribution they offered to the Lord, from the commanders of thousands and of hundreds was 420 pounds. Each of the soldiers had taken plunder for himself. Moses and Eleazar the priest received the gold from the commanders of thousands and of hundreds, and brought it into their tent of meeting as a memorial for the Israelites before the Lord. Transjordan settlements, chapter 32. The Reubenites and Gadites had a very large number of livestock. When they surveyed the lands of Zazer and Gilead, they saw that the region was a good one for livestock. So the Gadites and Reubenites came to Moses, Eleazar the priest, and the leaders of the community and said, "The territory of Ataroth, Dibon, Zazer, Nimrah, Heshbon, Elele, Sebam, Nebo, and Beon, which the Lord struck down before the community of Israel, is good land for livestock, and your servants own livestock." They said, "If we have found favor in your sight, let this land be given to your servants as a possession. Don't make us cross the Jordan." But Moses asked the Gadites and Reubenites, "Should your brothers go to war while you stay here? Why are you discouraging the Israelites from crossing into the land the Lord has given them? That's what your fathers did when I sent them from Kadesh Barnea to see the land. After they went up as far as Eshcol Valley and saw the land, they discouraged the Israelites from entering the land the Lord had given them. So the Lord's anger burned that day, and he swore an oath, "Because they did not follow me completely, none of the men 20 years old or more who came up from Egypt will see the land that I swore to give Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, none except Caleb, son of Jephunneh, and Kenizzite, and Joshua, son of Nun, because they did not follow the Lord completely." The Lord's anger burned against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until the whole generation that had done what was evil in the Lord's sight was gone. And here you, a brood of sinners, stand in your father's place, adding even more to the Lord's burning anger against Israel. If you turn back from following him, he will once again leave this people in the wilderness, and you will destroy all of them. Then they approached him and said, "We want to build shepherds here for our livestock and cities for our dependents. But we will arm ourselves and be ready to go ahead of the Israelites until we have brought them into their place. Meanwhile, our dependents will remain in the fortified cities because of the inhabitants of the land. We will not return to our homes until each of the Israelites has taken possession of his inheritance. Yet we will not have an inheritance with them across the Jordan and beyond, because our inheritance will be across the Jordan to the east." Moses replied to them, "If you do this, if you arm yourselves for battle before the Lord, and every one of you armed men crosses Jordan before the Lord, until he has driven his enemies from his presence, and the land is subdued before the Lord, Afterwards, you may return and be free from the obligation to the Lord and to Israel. And this land will belong to you as a possession before the Lord. But if you don't do this, you will certainly sin against the Lord. Be sure your sin will catch up with you. Build cities for your dependents and folds for your flocks, but do what you have promised. The Gadites and Reubenites answered Moses, Your servants will do just as my Lord commands. Our little children, wives, livestock, and all our animals will remain here in the cities of Gilead. But your servants are equipped for war before the Lord, and will go across to the battle as my Lord orders. So Moses gave orders about them to Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the family leaders of the Israelite tribes. Moses told them, If the Gadites and Reubenites cross the Jordan with you, every man in battle formation before the Lord, and the land is subdued before you, you are to give them the land of Gilead as a possession. But if they don't go across with you in the battle formation, they must accept land in Canaan with you. The Gadites and the Reubenites replied, What the Lord has spoken to your servants is what we will do. We will cross over in battle formation before the Lord into the land of Canaan, but we will keep our hereditary possession across the Jordan. So Moses gave them the Gadites, Reubenites, the half the tribe of Manasseh, son of Joseph, the kingdom of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, the land including its cities with the territories surrounding them. The Gadites rebuilt Dibon, Ataroth, Aror, Ataroth Shophan, Zazer, Jogbehah, Beth Nimrah, and Beth Haran as fortified cities, and built sheepfolds. The Reubenites rebuilt Heshbon, Eleleh, Kiriathaim, as well as Nebo and Balmeon, whose names were changed, and Sibmah. They gave names to the cities they rebuilt. The descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, went to Gilead, captured it, and drove out the Amorites who were there. So Moses gave Gilead to the clan of Machir, son of Manasseh, and they settled in it. Jair, a descendant of Manasseh, went and captured their villages, which he renamed Zair's villages. Nobah went and captured Kenath with its villages and called it Nobah after his own name. Wilderness Travels Reviewed, Chapter 33. These were the stages of the Israelites' journey when they went out of the land of Egypt by the military divisions under the leadership of Moses and Aaron. At the Lord's command, Moses wrote down the starting points for the stages of their journey. These are the stages listed by their starting points. They departed from Ramesses in the first month, on the 15th day of the month. On the day after the Passover, the Israelites went out triumphantly in the sight of all the Egyptians. Meanwhile, the Egyptians were burying every firstborn male the Lord had struck down among them. For the Lord had executed judgment against their gods. The Israelites departed from Ramesses and camped at Succoth. They departed from Succoth and camped at Etham, which is on the edge of the wilderness. They departed from Etham and turned back to Pihahiroth, which faces Baal-zephon, and they camped before Migdol. They departed from Pihahiroth and crossed through the middle of the sea into the wilderness. They took a 3-day journey into the wilderness of Etham and camped at Marah. They departed from Marah and came to Elim. There were 12 springs of water and 70 date palms at Elim, so they camped there. They departed from Elim and camped by the Red Sea. They departed from the Red Sea and camped in the wilderness of Sin. They departed from the wilderness of Sin and camped in Dovka. They departed from Dovka and camped at Alush. They departed from Alush and camped at Rephidim, where there was no water for the people to drink. They departed from Rephidim and camped in the wilderness of Sinai. They departed from the wilderness of Sinai and camped at Kibroth Hattava. They departed from Kibroth Hattava and camped at Hazeroth. They departed from Hazeroth and camped at Rithma. They departed from Rithma and camped at Rimmon Perez. They departed from Rimmon Perez and camped at Libnah. They departed from Libnah and camped at Risha. They departed from Risha and camped at Kehelatha. They departed from Kehelatha and camped at Mount Shepher. They departed from Mount Shepher and camped at Haradah. They departed from Haradah and camped at Makheloth. They departed from Makheloth and camped at Tahath. They departed from Tahath and camped at Terah. They departed from Terah and camped at Mithka. They departed from Mithka and camped at Hashmonah. They departed from Hashmonah and camped at Moseroth. They departed from Moseroth and camped at Bene-Jaakan. They departed from Bene-Jaakan and camped at Hor-Haggidgad. They departed from Hor-Haggidgad and camped at Jothbatha. They departed from Jothbatha and camped at Abronah. They departed from Abronah and camped at Ezion-Geber. They departed from Ezion-Geber and camped in the wilderness of Zin, that is Kadesh. They departed from Kadesh and camped at Mount Hor, on the edge of the land of Edom. At the Lord's command, Aaron the priest climbed Mount Hor and died there on the first day of the 5th month in the 14th year after the Israelites went out of the land of Egypt. Aaron was 123 years old when he died at Mount Hor. At the time, the Canaanite king of Arad, who lived in Negev in the land of Canaan, heard the Israelites were coming. They departed from Mount Hor and camped at Zalmonah. They departed from Zalmonah and camped at Punon. They departed from Punon and camped at Obath. They departed from Obath and camped at Lai-Abarim on the border of Moab. They departed from Laim and camped at Dibon-Gad. They departed from Dibon-Gad and camped at Almon-Diblathaim. They departed from Almon-Diblathaim and camped at Abarim, range facing Nebo. They departed from Abarim range and camped on the plains of Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho. They camped by the Jordan from Beth Jeshimoth to Acacia meadows on the plains of Moab. Instructions for occupying Canaan. The Lord spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab, by the Jordan across from Jericho. Tell the Israelites, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, you must drive out all the inhabitants of the land before you. Destroy all your stone images and cast images, and demolish all their high places. You are to take possession of the land and settle in it, because I have given you the land to possess. You are to receive the land as an inheritance by lot according to your clans. Increase the inheritance for a large clan and decrease it for a small one. Whatever place the Lord indicates for someone will be his. You will receive an inheritance according to your ancestral tribes. But if you don't drive out the inhabitants of the land before you, those you allow to remain will become thorns in your eyes and in your sides. They will harass you in the land where you will live, and what I had planned to do to them, I will do to you. Boundaries of the Promised Land. Chapter 34. The Lord spoke to Moses, Command the Israelites and say to them, When you enter the land of Canaan, it will be allotted to you as an inheritance with these borders. Your southern side will be from wilderness of Zin, along the boundary of Edom. Your southern border on the east will begin at the east end of the Dead Sea. Your border will turn south of the ascent of Akrabim, proceed to Zin, and end south of Kadesh Barnea. It will go Hazar Adar and proceed to Azmon. The border will turn from Azmon to the brook of Egypt, where it will end at the Mediterranean Sea. Your western border will be the coastline of the Mediterranean Sea. This will be your western border. This will be your northern border. From the Mediterranean Sea, draw a line to Mount Hor. From Mount Hor, draw a line to the entrance of Hamath, and the border will reach Zedad. Then the border will go to Ziphron and end at Hazar Enan. This will be your northern border. For your eastern border, draw a line from Hazar Enan to Shepham. The border will go down from Shepham to Riblah, east of Ain. It will continue down and reach the eastern slope of the Sea of Chinnereth. Then the border will go down to the Jordan and end at the Dead Sea. This will be a land defined by its borders on all sides. So Moses commanded the Israelites, This is the land you are to receive by lot as an inheritance, which the Lord commanded to be given to the 9.5 tribes. For the tribe of Reubenites and the tribe of Gadites have received their inheritance according to their ancestral houses, and half the tribe of Manasseh has received its inheritance. The 2.5 tribes have received their inheritance across the Jordan from Jericho, eastward toward the sunrise. Leaders for distributing the land. The Lord spoke to Moses, "These are the names of the men who are to distribute the land as an inheritance for you: Eleazar the priest and Joshua son of Nun. Take one leader from each tribe to distribute the land. These are the names of the men: Caleb, son of Jephunneh, from the tribe of Judah; Shemuel, son of Ammiud, from the tribe of Simeon; Elidad, son of Chislon, from the tribe of Benjamin; Bukki, son of Jogli, a leader from the tribe of Dan. From the sons of Joseph, Haniel, sons of Ephod, a leader from the tribe of Manasseh; Kemuel, son of Shiphthan, a leader from the tribe of Ephraim; Elizaphan, son of Parnak, a leader from the tribe of Zebulun; Paltiel, son of Azan, a leader from the tribe of Ishkar; Ahihud, son of Shelomi, a leader from the tribe of Asher; Pedahel, son of Ammihud, a leader from the tribe of Naphtali. These are the ones the Lord commanded to distribute the inheritance to the Israelites in the land of Canaan. Cities for the Levites. Chapter 35. The Lord again spoke to Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. Command the Israelites to give cities out of their hereditary property for the Levites to live in, and pasture land around the cities. The cities will be for them to live in, and their pasture lands will be for their herds, flocks, and all their other animals. The pasture lands of the cities you are to give the Levites will extend from the city wall 500 yards on every side. Measure 1,000 yards outside the city for the east side, 1,000 yards for the south side, 1,000 yards for the west side, and 1,000 yards for the north side, with the city in the center. This will belong to them as pasture lands for their cities. The cities you will give the Levites will include 6 cities of refuge, which you must provide so that one who kills someone may flee there. In addition to these, give 42 other cities. The total number of cities you give the Levites will be 48, along with their pasture lands. Of the cities that you give from the Israelites' territory, you should take more from a larger tribe and less from a smaller one. Each tribe is to give some of its cities to the Levites in proportion to the inheritance it receives. Cities of refuge. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them, when you cross the Jordan into the land of Canaan, designate cities to serve as cities of refuge for you, so that a person who kills someone unintentionally may flee there. You will have the cities as a refuge from the avenger, so that the one who kills someone will not die until he stands trial before the assembly. The cities you select will be your 6 cities of refuge. Select 3 cities across the Jordan and 3 cities in the land of Canaan to be the cities of refuge. These 6 cities will serve as a refuge for the Israelites and for the foreigner or temporary resident among them, so that anyone who kills a person unintentionally may flee there. If anyone strikes a person with an iron object and death results, he is a murderer. The murderer must be put to death. If a man has in his hand a stone capable of causing death and strikes another man and he dies, the murderer must be put to death. If a man has in his hand a wooden object capable of causing death and he dies, the murderer must be put to death. The avenger of blood himself is to kill the murderer. When he finds him, he is to kill him. Likewise, if anyone in hatred pushes a person or throws an object at him with malicious intent and he dies, or if in hostility he strikes him with his hand and he dies, the one who struck him must be put to death. He is a murderer. The avenger of blood is to kill the murderer when he finds him. But if anyone suddenly pushes a person without hostility or throws an object at him without malicious intent, or drops a stone without looking that could kill a person and he dies, but he was not his enemy and wasn't trying to harm him, the assembly is to judge between the slayer and the avenger of blood according to the ordinances. The assembly is to protect the one who kills someone from the hand of the avenger of blood. Then the assembly will return him to the city of refuge he fled to, and he must live there until the death of the high priest who was anointed with the holy oil. If the one who kills someone ever goes outside the border of the city of refuge he fled to, and the avenger of blood finds him outside the border of his city of refuge and kills him, the avenger will not be guilty of bloodshed. For the one who killed the person was supposed to live in his city of refuge until the death of the high priest. Only after the death of the high priest may the one who has killed the person return to the land he possesses. These instructions will be a statutory ordinance for you throughout your generations wherever you live. If anyone kills a person, the murderer is to be put to death based on the word of witnesses, but no one is to be put to death based on the testimony of one witness. You are not to accept a ransom for the life of a murderer who is guilty of killing someone. He must be put to death. Neither should you accept a ransom for the person who flees to his city of refuge, allowing him to return and live in the land before the death of the high priest. Do not defile the land where you are, for bloodshed defiles the land, and there can be no atonement for the land because of the blood that is shed on it, except by the blood of the person who shed it. Do not make the land unclean where you live and where I reside, for I, the Lord, reside among the Israelites. The inheritance of Zelophehad's daughters. Chapter 36. The family leaders from the clan of the descendants of Gilead, the son of Machir, son of Manasseh, one of the clans of the sons of Joseph, approached and addressed Moses and the leaders who were over the Israelite families. They said, "The Lord commanded my Lord to give the land as an inheritance by lot to the Israelites. My Lord was further commanded by the Lord to give our brother Zelophehad inheritance to his daughters. If they marry any of the men from the other Israelite tribes, their inheritance will be taken away from our father's inheritance and added to that of the tribe into which they marry. Therefore, part of our allotted inheritance will be taken away. When the Jubilee comes for the Israelites, their inheritance will be added to that of the tribe into which they marry, and their inheritance will be taken away from the inheritance of our ancestral tribe." So Moses commanded the Israelites at the word of the Lord, "What the tribe of Joseph's descendants says is right. This is what the Lord has commanded concerning Zelophehad's daughters. They may marry anyone they like, provided they marry within a clan of their ancestral tribe. An inheritance belonging to the Israelites must not transfer from tribe to tribe, because each of the Israelites is to retain the inheritance of his ancestral tribe. Any daughter who possesses an inheritance from an Israelite tribe must marry someone from the clan of her ancestral tribe, so that each of the Israelites will possess the inheritance of his fathers. No inheritance is to transfer from one tribe to another, because each of the Israelite tribes is to retain its inheritance." The daughters of Zelophehad did as the Lord commanded Moses. Mahlah, Tirzah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Noah, the daughters of Zelophehad, married cousins on their father's side. They married men from the clans of the descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, and their inheritance remained within the tribe of their father's clan. These are the commands and ordinances the Lord commanded the Israelites through Moses in the plains of Moab by the Jordan across from Jericho. The word of the Lord. Have a blessed day. Ciao.